Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Dr. Abati, welcome back. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our customers, our viewers out there. We begin in Asia with the Japanese yen flirting with a new 38-year low to the US dollar. Who cares? I'll tell you who cares. Investors care, households care, and businesses care. The Nikkei 225 index also cares as well because most export-oriented businesses in Japan are on that index. Now, if you're export-oriented, then that's fine. A weaker yen means that what you're exporting is cheaper to overseas, and so they'll probably buy more. But for households who have been pushing for, and individuals, workers pushing for higher wages, this is an issue. Now, if we look at Japanese yen volatility so far in 2024, you remember back in April where the yen flirted with a 34-year low, about 160 or so to the US dollar. At that time, Japan did say that they were going to intervene, spent a whopping $62 billion intervening in the markets in order to allow the yen to appreciate. That was the first time that they have intervened in the market since 2022, where they intervened, I think, 2 or 3 times. They're saying they're going to do it again. The yen did appreciate to the mid 150s, 156, 157, but again yesterday it fell to about 160.82 to the US dollar. So that is giving the Ministry of Finance, Ueda, and so on concerns. The yen has been under pressure since the officials left the YCC, what's called yield curve control, and exited negative rates. So they've been on notice since that time. Retail sales in Japan looking encouraging. The average Japanese is opening their wallets and spending that very yen that is depreciating to the dollar, plus 3% in May. The forecast was for 2% in April. It was revised upwards to 2%. So there's still the issue of wages. There's still the issue of, we looked at inflation not too long ago. That's also creeping up as well. The Japanese story is very much in play. We move to Europe and little old Croatia, a nation of just, 3.8 million people. Croatia has a company called Rimac, an electric vehicle maker. They actually make hypercars, and they have come out with a new robotaxi called Vern. It's a taxi that doesn't have any steering wheels. It's just a 2-seater. And we're living in, again, the age of innovation. The small country is joining the game. Let's listen to Adriano Mudri, who is the Chief Design Officer at Vern.
What we wanted to focus on was really the user experience. This is not a car. This is more a room on wheels. Yeah. So we started from the inside. And that's also how naturally the proportions evolved. So we got rid of the typical 4 or 5 seat layout of any other car. We cut it just to 2 because 9 out of 10 rides is just maximum 2 people.
So if I've got a family, I just order 2 of them?
Or 3, it depends on the family size.
Yeah.
From the outside, we of course wanted to integrate all the sensors that are required for a safe and redundant
So that's
system.
how it sees its environment, that's the sensors?
Yes, it's the sensors. There is, you see like there on top, there is a long-range LiDAR that scans your environment way like up to half a kilometer in front of you.
Yeah.
And then there is also the short-range LiDARs scattered around the whole car. There is 6 of them in total. And then there is, of course, cameras that reconfirm.
We've talked a lot about how innovation creates jobs. You remember last week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, we had that Nigerian family in San Francisco where the father was filming Waymo, which was that robotaxi. Each time we have a new entrant into the market, you are creating jobs by bringing on designers, engineers, software, and so on and so forth. So again, when we talk about how to create jobs and put people to work, this is what technology and innovation are doing. Now, you're putting people to work. There's also the issue of wages. We're going to remain in Europe, Central Europe in particular. The acceleration of wages, where they've been raising the minimum wage in a number of countries in Central Europe, is actually causing some distress. The Czech Republic, the central bank is going to be meeting today, and we believe that they're not going to be cutting rates at this point because of the rise in wages. Let's take a look at first quarter 2024 growth in wage costs. I added the word cost because wages are a cost. Now, you've got Romania year on year. Look at at that, 16% growth in wages. Poland up 14.1%, and the Czech Republic up 5.9%. The EU average is 5.5% for the Eurozone, and that's for the countries that use the euro. By the way, Romania, Poland, Czech, they do not use the euro. They use their own respective currencies. That average about 5.1%. All that data coming from Eurostat. So that is, again, if you pay people more money, they will go out and make purchases, and that you have now demand pull inflation. So we now dovetail into Nigeria. Our State House correspondent, Adeso Amoran, did bring us a report that President Tinubu is looking at, discussing with the states about where to go with minimum wage. We have to, as far as everybody I've spoken to, and I think you've spoken to in the studio, there are inflationary concerns with raising the minimum wage. So we have a situation of a divergence in Nigeria between monetary policy and fiscal policy, where the central bank is tightening, and on the other hand, the fiscal side is expanding. So you know what is going to happen if and when this minimum wage matter is sorted out. Whatever increase you get, if you give everybody extra money, they go out, they buy goods, and you've already seen where food prices are. So do be prepared for higher price pressures to remain in Nigeria because of this expansionary fiscal side. We round off with Kenya. I know there's going to be a lot of political discussions, but on the business side, I was particularly wondering what the IMF was going to say about what's been going on. The director of communications, Julie Kozak at the IMF, they released a statement. It was either late yesterday, early this morning, saying the IMF is closely monitoring the situation in Kenya. Our main goal is supporting Kenya and help it overcome the difficult economic challenges it faces and improve its economic prospects and the well-being of its people. It's very timely because William Ruto is now walking a fiscal tightrope. They got a facility from Kenya in 2021, $3.6 billion. Almost all of that money has been disbursed. There was a staff level meeting that took place not too long ago. Kenya is looking for at least another, I think about 950 billion or about 950 million, or about $1 billion is left. By withdrawing the bill, and it is understood, the Gen Zs made their voices heard. What does Kenya now do with respect to its deficits to GDP, which is about 4.7%? This bill, if the taxes had been allowed to be put through, would have reduced it to 3.7. So where he gets the money from, you can talk about spending cuts all you want, but if you have a salary at home and you're trying to make more money, it's not just spending cuts. You have to find the revenue somewhere. So we're going to see how Ruto walks this fiscal tightrope going forward.
And you're very apt, Rotus, as regards that. It has to be said, it is a fiscal tightrope. When he announced that kowtowing to the protesters yesterday, it was a difficult one for him because Kenya has to raise the money. But I also like how he cleverly said, oh, you that are protesting, come, let's discuss how we are going to see the money to be able to make those buffers. Because it's difficult, because there's nowhere that money is going to come from. And that's why he's looking at those possibilities. And he made some clarity yesterday as regards, what the taxation was all about. Well, this was supposed to be on most of these imported goods, that they had local substitute to be able to channel that money into the growth of the local industry. Take, for instance, you talked about diapers. The fact that you have about 10 companies producing diapers locally, and they are still getting a lot of import of cheap diapers out of China, and all of that. So those were the points he made. So we would like to see the youth to come out with this idea, because government is not bread and butter. Yeah, you say you don't want the finance bill. Very good. It's going to be hard on citizens. Then how are we going to get the money? I think that's the very most important question a lot of people fail to realize and to understand. And very good one to Matty Rimac himself, the man that founded the, the Mate company. And the guy is named Vern after the university he did go to. Innovation opens up an economy, but are we ready in a country where 3 weeks after, miners that are under the shaft in Niger State are still there? And we are talking of growing our mining industry.
All right, let me start on Vern. Robotaxi has been in the news since in the US. It's not new. We have Waymo, like you mentioned, and also Tesla should unveil their own plans come August 8th for robotaxis. But there have also been criticisms. And what I would, obviously initially talk about with this new, launch by Rimac is, have they been able to address the challenges around the cost? Because taxes essentially are there to make profit. And so if the cost, as it was for Waymo's $300,000 $200 for one, for their own robotaxi, then it wouldn't make financial sense for drivers to go that route. Obviously, it's still being developed. They say there's some developments that have been made with Vern that Waymo couldn't have then, and let's see how Tesla will then come into play in the market with regards to that. But is the world ready for robotaxis? I don't think so yet. Until they're able to flood the market and find cheaper ways to manufacture the cars and then move on to cheaper ways for people to purchase the cars, not quite ready, because if not, it will impact on profit. But great one day. It's great to see innovation. It's great to see what's happening with regards to the EV industry, with regards to robotaxis, and let's see what role Africa will play in all of this.
Okay, Kenya. The IMF has issued a statement saying that they are deeply concerned. They will be watching the situation in Kenya and that they are committed to inclusive growth in Kenya. Well, the last time we discussed this, I said President Ruto was trapped between the anger on the streets and the IMF bid appeals. And I think Kenya, there may well be lessons that African leaders can learn from the example of Kenya trying to raise $2.3 billion and looking for extended credit facility from the IMF. Number two, we've seen in Kenya the demonstration of people power. The people say, yes, you want to raise money by taxing us, including 16% on bread. We don't want it. At the end of the day, the law is made for the people, not the other way around. That's one lesson. Number three is how President Ruto said, yes, he has submitted to the will of the people. Now he says there's going to be a multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral meeting within the next 2 weeks. So now that the people have protested, it's just according to the government of Kenya that, they should talk to the people. Number four is that the Kenya example, we may see other Africans following the same route. In Ghana now, there is a fight over one hotel that the government is trying to sell, SSNIT Hotel in Accra, Ghana. And they are accusing President Akufo-Addo that he should listen to the people. Otherwise, he too will receive the Kenyan treatment. And this is why African leaders, have to pay attention to what the people are saying, what the people claim that they want. Thank you very much, Rotus.